Welcome to Extra Butter. If nothing else comes out of this movie soon, children everywhere will finally be able to pronounce Abominable. It's hitting theaters. Also, Rambo, Last Blood. Didn't make it to #1 at the box office, but it deserves to be talked about because it's Rambo. Also, we're talking about Shaft. Shut your mouth. But I'm just talking about Shaft. It's also hitting Blu-ray, DVD, and home video. All 3 Shafts joining us on this edition of Extra Butter. Hey, thanks for joining us. Come on, you guys. We're gonna do a show. It's where we talk about movies the way you talk about movies. I get together with some of my friends. Today we're talking about movies headed to theaters and headed to the home, talking about them pretty much the way you talk about them. It's me and these guys.
Hey, what's up?
Sorry, we were watching a movie in there. We weren't ready.
I was watching a movie in there too. By that I mean taking a nap. Hey guys, welcome to the show. The world famous comedian E. Clark joining us today.
How you guys doing? Follow me on E. Clark Comedy on Instagram and on Facebook.
There you go, there you go.
And of course, you know her, you love her, the world traveler, Kelly Savannah Deaton.
Hey, Kelly.
Hi. Kelly Savannah Deaton, I keep it easy.
Follow me at TV Marquez Allen, right there. Just forget what I'm saying, just look at what it says right there.
Complaints, HR concerns, this guy.
Whatever it takes. What do you guys want to talk about today?
There's only one thing to talk about. Chapter 2.
That's right. The second highest grossing R-rated horror film in history.
That's right.
Only behind the original It.
No kidding. I
Crazy.
knew from the beginning, not only was it going to be a success, but this was going to be a success when I talked to the youngins. Take a look. When you guys are the ages of your people, what would you like to have done? What's like some accomplishment you'd like to hit by the time you were their ages?
Ooh. Wow. Oscar, baby.
What, in what order?
Tray flips.
Tray flips.
Oscar, baby, tray flips.
All right. How about you?
In that order.
Oscar's a great one. Wife, baby.
I don't want a wife, I want a baby, though. That I don't know. I'm kidding. Terrible reputation. Maybe somewhere in Costa Rica.
I just want to be doing what I'm loved. I just hope I'm happy by the time I'm 40.
Happy, yeah. I want to
I
continue.
just want to be happy.
Yeah, I just wish to keep doing this job. And if I don't continue doing this job, I wish I can continue doing something I love.
Ooh, those kids haven't made. I hear they got in excess of $1 million each to come back for the sequel and a chunk of the profits, of which there are many.
Those are some powerful kids.
Oh, it is still crushing it at the box office, but we should probably move on to what's #1 this weekend.
Rambo!
No! #1, of course, the honors went to Downton Abbey. For that, I want to turn on to one of our experts. This man knows Downton Abbey better than any other human being, maybe even the creators. Ladies and gentlemen, host of Flicks with Patrick Stoner, it is Patrick Stoner! Patrick! Seen on PBS stations everywhere. How are you, Patrick?
Hello, Mark. Always good to talk to you.
Can I tell everyone my background with you? The very first time I heard of Downton Abbey, like many people, I walked into a hospitality suite and I said, does anybody know about this thing that is taking the nation's cultures by storm? It's Downton Abbey. You were the first to say, au contraire.
Downton Abbey.
Yes.
I'm sure I was very rude to you at that moment, Mark.
No, but deservedly so. Now jump in and say why you think this movie why this series deserved a movie.
Because it's complicated, Mark. I wish I could give you a quick answer to that, but then again, it wouldn't have been so successful if it were that obvious. They'd be doing this all the time. This wouldn't have been an historic weekend. You would not have seen this result unless it was something unusual.
So were you surprised at the success of this movie?
I was not surprised, and nor will I be surprised when they make the Game of Thrones movie. You can tell when you've got something that's bigger than the norm, because normally what you do, if you just take a TV series and turn it into a movie, is you think the name itself is going to carry you. Julian Fellows is brilliant. He knew better than that. He knew that he had to get the original cast that was so successful. He knew that he had to keep it in Downton Abbey, not take them to London or America or anything like that. And he knew he'd better come up with these interlocking plots that he is able to create so well, or he wouldn't have done it. It's his legacy. So once I knew he was doing all of that, I knew the movie was going to be successful.
So Patrick, for you, I know you're incredibly professional. At the same time, you have to struggle with being, I thought I would never use this word, towards you, but you had to struggle with being a fanboy because indeed Downton Abbey has no bigger fan. What was it like hanging out with the cast in London?
Oh, I embarrassed myself, I'm sure, Mark. I tried to hide it. I did my very best to hide it. But it must have shown through. To be sitting with Lady Mary, Lady Edith Branson, Gillian Fellows, all of them, about 9 of them, and I was the only American there, Mark. The only American there. And I was trying so hard to be professional, and I hope it came across that way. But if you watch it, if you happen to see it when we in syndication on PBS or something, look closely at my eyes. I'm thrilled.
Totally shining out.
I think you represented well. Ladies and gentlemen, host of Flitz with Patrick Stoner, seen on PBS stations worldwide. Patrick Stoner, everybody.
Patrick, yes.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.
Cheerio, sir.
Did I explain that he's not on Skype or FaceTime? That was just on the phone?
No, but I love the way you did it. Brilliant.
He was just on the phone. We just put his image there just so you'd know it'd be kind of like he's with us live.
He's with us.
All right, thanks for taking the time to phone us. All right, coming up in a moment, speaking of other success stories, I don't know anybody saw this coming. It might be one of the most successful animated movies of the year, Abominable on the way.
Abominable.
Hey, welcome back. It is Extra Butter hanging out with my friends Eric Clark, Kelly Savannah Deaton, and you. Thanks for joining us. Also, be sure and like and subscribe on YouTube, which is what you're doing right now. I can feel you.
Yep.
All right,
Do
speaking
it.
of feeling, how many people are feeling Abominable being as good as it is?
It was great, man. I can't wait to take my daughter to go see it. It's hard to say abominable.
It is. I can't say it anymore.
The more I think about it, the more I can't pronounce it.
Yep.
Like if I really liked it, I could just whip out Abominable. I could wake up in the middle of the night and say it, but when I think about it, it goes, even when I introed this segment, I screwed it up.
Yeah,
Just call it the
Abominable.
Yeti, how they do in the
There
movie.
you go.
Right,
Yeti.
exactly.
That's
They
what it's
take the
called.
safe out a couple
Yes.
times in the film.
This is the third Yeti-type Smallfoot movie they've came out with in the last year, but I think this is the best one.
I agree. This
think.
has so much more heart than I expected. It's just
does.
really a sweet movie.
Yeah.
It is. It's so sweet, and it's all about family and how you can oftentimes not pick the family you're born into, but you can pick other people
Right.
to be your family. I thought that was the best message.
Let's talk about the voice talent. Chloe Bennet does a great job in it. You know her from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She is awesome. We
amazing.
talked. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
I got to applaud you on this awesome bold suit we've been
Listen,
talking
we
about.
both got the bold suit memo and the white kicks.
We got the white kick memo.
Oh my god, we did it at the same time.
It's going to explode.
Yeah.
If only the rest of the interview goes this well.
Listen,
You
we set
are
the bar
awesome in
high.
this.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations
Thank you.
on the gig.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
What I love about you, you've been pretty outspoken. I celebrate all cultures, and I, like you've said some things about how Asians are represented in Hollywood.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a great step in the right direction.
It really, really is. It really is. It's a step in like an authentic direction of this is a film written, produced, and directed and starring women of all different types.
Right.
And that is all really cool. But most importantly, it's just a great movie.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up it's very lady forward too.
Yeah, yeah.
So
There's
what did
a lot of diversity.
What in this character speaks to you? I think there's probably more similar than not.
Yeah, it's hard to find something that I think the only thing that I don't have in common is that she's really good at the violin and I don't know how to play it at all. So she's just everything that I wanted to see as a young girl. I didn't relate to princesses. I didn't actually get to even watch those. I have 6 brothers, so I was always outvoted in terms of what we were watching. It was usually sports. And I was just a stubborn, creative, independent kid who wanted more out of everything, and I think that she is very much that character.
Stubborn,
and it can get
independent.
her, it gets her in trouble a little bit, but it also ultimately, it's incredibly, those traits become very rewarding, which I feel like getting to be a part of this film feels like my version of kind of her journey, if that makes sense.
How remarkable is she? She is one of the most powerful young actresses America has. I sat down with the rest of the cast. Any favorites among them? How great was this kid, Albert?
Amazing. And he looks just like his
And
character.
he sounds just like his character.
If you can believe it, it's crazy.
Take a look. I want to talk about what significant in this movie speaks to you. Like for you, I know this has deep connection to you because your dad's a climber.
Not my dad. My dad is the opposite of a climber, but my grandfather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was the first person to reach the top of Mount Everest in 1953 with Sir Edmund Hillary.
Is your dad in the room, by the way?
He is. He's right there. That's why I said it.
You're the opposite of a climber? The opposite of a climber.
Well, he was born and raised in Florida, where it's pretty much flat.
Good point. There's not much to climb.
Yeah, there's not much to climb.
Climb a wave, perhaps. So as your grandfather doing this, kind of keeping it alive in the family.
I would hope so. Yeah, I hope that it makes them proud.
Awesome. And for you, this character, did it speak to you? Did you see a
Yeah,
little bit
definitely.
of yourself in this character?
As soon as I read the character description and the script for Pang and Abominable, I instantly fell in love with the movie and the role. And I think Pang and I have quite a lot in common. Yeah, he's this just fun-loving, carefree, super energetic kid, and he's always optimistic. So yeah.
This movie's awesome. Good to see you guys.
Great to see you.
And
Thank
your
you.
dad, he looks like he's more than not a climber.
Thank you. It's nice meeting you.
Sorry about that.
Ooh, way to make a man angry. Mark, was it awkward walking out after getting the
Well-
kid to insult his own father?
Well, okay, so I
Jeez
misread. I
Louise.
thought his dad was the one that had pioneered climbing Everest. It was his grandfather that did it. But I love the way he goes, my dad couldn't climb anything. I see this guy glaring at me, and it turns out it is his dad, and so I had to bring him into the conversation. I wish you could have seen it.
Oh, man.
But I'm glad you didn't.
I'm glad we didn't. I'm really glad we didn't. That poor man.
He should not have dissed his dad
I
in the middle of an
know.
interview like that. That's
Back to the movie. Everest is one of the key features in this movie that are places people should at least go see sometime.
That's the
if
sweet
not
thing
climb.
about this movie, though, Mark, because the locations in the movie are actually real locations that you can go to.
If you're big on traveling, if you're not big on traveling, this movie basically is a passport to go everywhere in China.
That's right.
You'll want to go everywhere. After watching this, you literally want to A, find a Yeti,
Yes.
and B, travel all over the place.
Glad you brought that up. That's kind of what I talked to Jill about. She directed it. Take a look. This movie is going to inspire people to travel, and it's so gorgeous. I worry that they're going to go to the places they're not going to look as good as they do in your movie.
I hope I hope they're not disappointed if they go to these real places. Aren't you amazed that, as I did research when I was writing this movie, I kind of plotted the whole course from Shanghai, which is what our city is based on, all the way to the Himalayas. And I plotted a true course across China. And as I started doing research, I found these places like the Leishan Buddha, the tallest Buddha in the world, carved straight out of stone. I didn't know that it existed. I mean, I know the wall exists. I know there's the terracotta shoulders, but I'm hoping that the rest of the world will see these amazing places like the canola fields and the Yellow Mountain and the Yangtze River. I mean, the Gobi Desert. These are spectacular places that, this is really showcasing how beautiful China was. And I didn't know when I started this movie that it was as gorgeous as it is.
So check out Abominable. Hey, I said it right. Abominable. In theaters everywhere. All right, coming up next, not exactly new, but still new to theaters right now, Brad Pitt in space and at Astra.
Yeah, and then also we're going to talk about who? The Last Blood with Rambo. Yo, Adrian! Rambo!
Wrong move. Perfect. Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us on this edition of Extra Butter.
Yes.
Last week came and went, and we didn't talk about a couple movies, so these are movies that are almost new, but they're like in the day-old section of your box office.
No, Brad Pitt is never day old anything.
Does he still do it for you?
Has he never not done it for me?
What's funny, you could watch The Dip in Rotten Tomatoes. When Ed Astra was to come out, audiences were looking forward to it. It's not scoring that well. I don't think they leaned into it that hardcore.
It's a little slow starting off. I mean,
Right?
It takes about an hour to get into the laser blast on the moon, and it's a little slow.
It's somewhere between Gravity and Interstellar.
Yeah,
Is that
that's
what
a
you're-
good call. Yeah, and it's interesting because it's kind of like a man who you want to see be emotionally charged, and he's not. And then in the movie, as it progresses, you get to see him be more attached to his dad. I don't know. It's just a lot of emotion that's not there, but it is there, and I just love Brad Pitt. It's a beautiful movie, though. You have to admit.
Especially if you think Brad Pitt's beautiful. It should be
space.
compelling, but isn't, and much can
There
be.
you go. I was trying to say that.
The same could be said of this publicity stunt they did, where they actually had Brad Pitt interview an astronaut in space. Now, how cool should that be, right?
It should. Oh no.
Right, it's like
Brad.
watching paint dry.
Astronaut movies are
Brad
tough.
going, so, did you like the movie? The astronaut? More or less. Take a look.
It really is extraordinary. By the way, you're from Kansas, I'm from Missouri, so we're neighbors.
good part of the country. I've taken lots of photos of it over the past 6 months.
I bet. Amazing. Nick, last question, and I need to call on your expertise. Who was more believable, Clooney or Pitt?
You were, absolutely.
Anybody think that maybe that astronaut really wanted to say Clooney was a better astronaut? But he thought, I don't want to be rude.
Probably so, but you can't say that when you're talking to the man.
What do you think went wrong with this movie?
Astronaut movies are tough. They are always climbing up an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Even the old school movie 2001 Space Odyssey was kind of a sleeper.
Yeah.
We need aliens, we need lasers, we need
I'm
Darth
with you.
Vader,
I'm
we
with you.
need Spock.
Hey, but appreciate how beautiful the movie is, right? The whole time you were watching it, were you
I felt like I was
thinking,
watching a screensaver.
Oh, that's so neat. The whole time I was thinking, how did they make this? And Brad Pitt.
That's all. I think you have Brad Pitt blockage. You're watching it through the wrong lenses.
I was going to say something, but we'll move on.
All right. So make sure you take a big boatload of popcorn and a boatload of patience if you go to see Ed Astra. The same could be said of Rambo: Last Blood.
How are they still making these movies?
This sums up my take on Rambo.
What?
I thought this was Rambo 3, completely forgetting that they made a Rambo 3 10 years ago that I went to go see. That's how forgettable and disposable these movies are.
Again, built-in audience, you know if you're going to go see it.
Yeah, you know what
I
you're
do like
getting
Stallone.
into. Right, because I promise you, like the more we tear into it, there's someone at home right now that saw it that's going, "That's the best movie ever! How dare you!
Oh,
Do
yeah.
not mar Rambo!"
For sure. But if you want to keep it in the family, instead of seeing this movie, you can go see his daughter in 47 Meters
That's fine.
Down, Uncaged.
We went behind the scenes on this movie and talked to him about that movie. Not really. We just let him talk about whatever he wanted to talk about. Take a look.
No man is an island. It's the worst dilemma, one of the worst diseases that strikes mankind is loneliness, isolation, abandonment. And that when you have that, and it's so precious, that there's nothing you would not do, to sacrifice yourself for that person you love, including going into a burning building. So that's what I'm trying to convey, that even Rambo can't be alone anymore. He really needs human contact. He needs love.
Do you think he was just tired from working all night long shooting this movie, or do you think at that time he knew no one was really going to love this movie?
No, yeah, Rambling Rambo.
I think he rambles
Say that
all
5
the
times
time.
fast. Rambling Rambo.
To sum up my feelings on it, you probably already knew you wanted to go see this Rambo. If you're going to go see it, good luck with that. You got to know what you're getting into. It definitely is not the best Rambo ever made.
No, but there's the action, the gore, the carnage.
A lot of gore, a lot of corning.
There you go.
And Apollo Creed is not in this one.
There you
Whoa,
go.
I thought I saw him in the background with the gun. That wasn't him.
That wasn't Apollo, though.
All right, moving on. How would you like to bring Shaft home?
Shut your mouth.
But I'm just talking about Shaft. And if you got that reference, you probably know a little something about Shaft. Coming up next, I sit down with not one, but all 3 Shafts. Next. Hey, welcome back to Extra Butter, hanging out with Eric Clark, the lovely and talented Kelly Savannah Deaton. I'm Marcus Allen. Hey, don't
I'm
waste the
excited
popcorn.
to talk about Shaft.
Shut your mouth. But she's just talking about Shaft. All right, so Shaft, a cultural phenomenon dating back decades. What does it mean to you and your family and friends?
Shaft was the first action hero that was a black guy, that was kicking butt, that was taking names,
right?
You know, and right in Harlem, the center of black culture on the East Coast. So yeah, he was always cool.
Representing.
Yeah,
Richard Roundtree brought it. Great role model back in the day. Then gave way to Samuel L. Jackson in the early 2000s doing it. And now you got 3 generations of Shaft. And I sat down with them deep in the heart of Harlem. Take a look. I told you in the first Shaft, I said, did you take this role strictly to keep wardrobe? Because everything you wore in that movie looked amazing.
Clothes on mine. Yeah, so it was good. Back up a second. You said in the first Shaft?
Uh-oh. Oh, no!
The first in his generation.
My
the first of his generation.
What I meant.
I'm just going to call you on this.
What I meant.
Shots fired all around. I was his age when I saw you. So you know what that means.
Okay.
What I meant to say was his first Shaft.
All right.
There we go.
Too late.
How was? Oh man, I might as well leave. Check.
Almost.
All right. How was your first Shaft?
Incredible. I got a chance to work beside these two legends right here. Couldn't have asked for a better experience.
You know, I've never felt more insignificant and uncool in my life than sitting in that cool room with 3 of the coolest people on the planet.
I can imagine.
But I enjoyed the moment.
You were outmatched. I mean, no, you did a great job. That was great.
No, that's okay. You can keep it real.
You should have got a coat, one of the leather coats also.
As a comedian, playing the Apollo in Harlem, has that ever been something you wanted to do?
You know what? I do. They don't. The amateur night or whatever, they don't have it as often, but it's like you earn your stripes going to Harlem, you know? Yeah, like all the greats have played there, from Richard Pryor to the Jackson 5 to James Brown.
You got to do it.
Yes.
Is that on your bucket list?
It is on my bucket list.
You got to do it. You got to get that in the repertoire. I sat down 2 doors down from the Apollo with Tim Story to talk about making this movie in Harlem. Take a look. So when the original Shaft was made, they kind of run and gun. It was down and dirty. Yeah. They didn't have permits. They went on the streets.
They did not.
What would happen if you tried that with Sam Jackson today?
You know, you might actually get away with it with Sam. You just
Because
might.
people are scared of him?
Oh, of course. Well, not scared, but it's just Sam is like he's royalty. You kind of like he walks there, you let him walk. You know, so
Right.
we might be able to get away with it with Sam today.
You know, you do have a point, because if it were Kevin Hart, like the average public would run, Kevin Hart, I love you. There'd be hugs.
Sam to kind of divide. Yeah.
Exactly. It's one of my favorite directors. I highly recommend you rent Shaft. It's a great rental. Even if you didn't see it on the big screen, it still deserves to be seen.
Yeah, I just love how they took it and they added the family aspect of it. That's my favorite part, is you keep it in the family, keep it generational, and then watch everything, the chaos ensue.
Funny. It is a comedy. It's an action
yeah.
comedy. The way that Samuel L. Jackson plays off of his ex, Regina Hall, is amazing. She's like the bitter baby mama, and she's letting him have it. And the kid is some nerdy kid that has to learn how to do things the street.
Love it. Surprisingly funny.
Yes,
I
it's
love
very funny.
Regina Hall.
It's a good rent. VOD that, or buy it on Blu-ray or DVD with all of the extras. All right, that wraps it up for this week. Where do we find you?
E. Clark Comedy on Instagram and on Facebook.
One more time. Come on, go for it.
Hey!
She scores!
Kelly Savannah Deaton. I do a lot of tricks on Instagram.
And then some. Follow me at TV Marcus Sound. Don't forget to like and
subscribe.
All
right.
At home. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I feel like it went in there.
All right. I got it.